I'm Mike Uyak. I love to try new things, and I've had culinary adventures all around the world as well as right at home. I've had really wonderful food, as well as some really horrible food. I'd like to share some of my adventures with you, and we'll see if I have what it takes to fix whatever goes wrong. This is Recipe Redemption. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Recipe Redemption. We're delving back into the Weight Watchers recipe cards from 1974, a healthy afternoon beverage known as the Pimento Puree. Fairly simple one. Took no time at all. Here's how it's made.
Okay, here we go. Since it's a small volume, I'm just doing this in a food chopper rather than the blender. It'll work a little bit better. So an entire jar of pimento, about a cup's worth of cooked asparagus spears cut into sections, and a half a cup of milk. I'm going to blend this up as well as I can and then pour it into a saucepan and simmer for about 5 minutes until hot.
Yeah. So this came out thick, like 2 C's thick. I ended up adding a little bit of water since it sounded like, it's presented in, a parfait glass, but they make it look like it's supposed to be drinkable, and it wasn't drinkable. And even now, it's still pretty. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could sort of tilt this back and drink it, but now that it's hot, I really don't want to. I didn't bother garnishing it because it's just garnish that doesn't have a whole lot to do with flavor, although the slice of lemon you're supposed to put on there, theoretically, it could leak a little bit of lemon juice, and one assumes encouraged to squeeze the lemon into it. So I put a couple drops of lemon juice on the top, just so we have the full experience. Now, mind you, again, I didn't blend this, I processed it, so it's a little chunkier, but since it's more like a soup, I think that's fine. Mind you, that means the texture leaves something to be desired. The asparagus is a little grassy, fibrous. Flavor-wise, and I realized I added water, so it may have watered things down a little bit, but I only put like a couple tablespoons worth. Honestly, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's really, really bland. The recipe doesn't have you add any seasoning whatsoever. The lemon juice is really not noticeable. It might have amped up the flavors a little bit and just disappeared into the mix, but overall, this is just not good. I think there are several things that we could do with this idea that would be so much better. This is really not good. Again, it's like, well, it's not like a salad because it's a soup, but it's like anything. If you don't do anything to dress it up, it's going to be really, really plain. And in this case, you've got 3 ingredients. They're only going to be able to go so far. The pimento gives a nice bit of sweetness. That helps because otherwise, just pureed asparagus. Yum. The milk doesn't add a whole lot of creaminess to it. So it's just missing any dimension whatsoever to it. There are so many directions. Basically, any direction you go from here is probably good. Let's try out a couple things.
larger volume, larger vessel. Doing this in the blender this time. I have the rest of my asparagus, probably a couple cups worth. I went ahead and threw the pimento puree in here. It's no harm done. And here I sauteed up a medium onion, a couple carrots, and about 3 stalks of celery. That is a mirepoix. And just until it started to color a little bit, and then throwing that in the blender. To this I add 1 red bell pepper, skinned, seeded, and diced up. And I'm going to blend this as smooth as I can. And while blending, I'm going to add some chicken stock, about 1.5 cups worth. It's going to give it a lot of good flavor, the seasoning, the umami-ness of the chicken, as well as liquid to make it soupier. This is the vegetable base I'm going to be using in 2 different applications. The first of which is, of course, the redemption of the pimento puree, of making a pureed vegetable soup. So here I have a bechamel, just flour and butter cooked together for a little bit, and then milk added in. And now I'm adding some of my vegetable puree here and whisking to combine. And I simmered that for about 10 minutes so the flavors have a chance to get to know each other. The other application that I have going here is a dip. I have about 1/2 block of cream cheese that I softened in the microwave, pour some of my vegetable dip, or vegetable puree rather, and adding a tablespoon of mayonnaise and mixing to combine.
So here we are. Got an improvement on the soup right here. I can't really tip it because it's a soup. Funny how that works. And a dip. And it occurred to me after I finished making the dip that I hadn't actually bought anything to dip into the dip. So, celery sticks. Let's try the soup first. I'm actually kind of excited about this one because there's no reason why this shouldn't be just delicious. And it's quite good. Certainly a lot more flavor with just more seasoning, or any seasoning. The additional aromatics, the mirepoix that I added to it, are definitely adding to the complexity of the flavor. Obviously the chicken stock is going to help a lot, just with in terms of salt and a little bit of umami-ness and just all of that together. And the roux gives it a little bit more body, even though the blended vegetable mix is thick. It's not really like rich and creamy. It doesn't have a smooth mouthfeel. And even accounting for the fact that I didn't blend it, I really processed it. And so it was going to be gritty anyway. Even so, it lacks a certain mouthfeel that this adds. I think I could tinker with this a little bit. I think it is missing the lemon. I didn't add that to the soup. Some little bit of bright acidity, or even adding a little tomato to this wouldn't hurt. A little bit of acidity would kind of help to elevate this and brighten it. But not bad for something I just threw together. Now, let us take a look at the dip. I didn't really whip it particularly smooth, so there's going to be some chunks of cream cheese in this, but honestly, needs a little work. The flavors of the vegetables are really, really subtle. And so what I actually taste is there's a slight sweetness, but otherwise it's a slightly vegetal cream cheese on celery. The celery is the thing that I actually taste the most. So, let's see here. if I were to do the cardinal sin of just eating the dip. Okay. Even so, you know, the vegetables are just a little bit too subtle in this. The cream cheese is actually the predominant flavor. Although now that I think of this, if I were to dump a can of crab meat into this, I think I would actually be really delicious. Crab meat and, you know, like crab cakes, those sorts of things. I tend to make a red pepper remoulade to go over it, and this is kind of a very subtle version of that remoulade sauce that I normally serve with crab, like crab cakes and things. So I think if I actually made a red pepper crab dip from this, it would actually be really, really good. It's a good start. So it's not quite there, but it's certainly better than the pimento puree. So what do you think? What other ideas do you think we could tinker with to improve the pimento puree? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, do the internet things: like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends and enemies. And I'll see you next time here on Recipe Redemption. Thanks for watching.